How about you, Gen Xers? What are the things that you relate to on these lists?
I know I'm frustrated with the boomer generation in general. I know most of my values at the core are Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers and the things that I was given. A lot of my values are there, but it's very hard to see who's in charge of the world right now. And I keep waiting for I don't know, like that idea that boomers are always going to be in control, always on a federal level, always on a state level. And I want to start seeing my generation pushing forward. And what are those values? Um, what wasn't accomplished by the boomer age? And I feel like the last 4 months in so many ways have like really pushed the idea of every single person has to be addressing systemic racism in education and health and everywhere. And I don't know if that's happening as a whole by the boomer generation. The boomer generation, which is so exciting with the 60s and 70s, I don't know if that generation were necessarily doing enough for too long. And we're okay with an awful lot of stuff that I'm hoping moving forward people cannot, will not tolerate, and will fight for.
One of the descriptors for Gen Xers that they have in common is a distrust of baby boomers. And so John's relating to that piece of it, potentially. So I want to, just because it's in the air right now, I'd love to just kind of circle back, John, around with this too, around leadership potentially in Gen Xers. Is that maybe a potential missing link of descriptors that you feel like might be the opportunity to maybe come up now?
Leadership for our generation, and I will talk specifically as a Black woman, it gets weird because for me, it's not just how I identify in my sexuality, it's also my skin color. So I'm often having to battle that in general as a person who's been in leadership positions as a Generation Xer. But one of the things that I recognize that I got from the generation before us, I felt, was this idea of support and this idea of education. So I got educated in school, but I got educated outside of school. I got educated in my neighborhoods. I got educated by my mommy, my auntie, my daddy, my grandpa. I got it. So that level of pushing education for my generation in that way and finding language, I see that planting now in the way that I hear millennials talk and the way I hear the generation after millennials specifically talk.
Where are the leaders who are 50 years old?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Amy Klobuchar, okay, but like who are these people rising up who are going to be the next president of the United States, who are leading these charges? And also, I think the generation below us, you know, millennials, we can all agree are annoying, but they're doing stuff that is legitimately changing the world in terms of technology, in terms of everything from fundraising to cyber education. They're the ones who are really taking those leads. So just looking at where we are moving forward.
I was angry and didn't know why. But now that I hear the people out there, now I know why. Now I can say it. I couldn't exactly articulate it, but also there was no space to articulate that. Even if you were articulating it, you were considered a rebel, you were considered radical, you were considered a troublemaker, you were considered an angry Black woman. Now, because that language is more regular, because people in my generation kept pushing that language, now we can say Black Lives Matter. We could not have said that in the 70s. It's because of the work that we did. So that I personally feel very proud of where we are, even though it's like, you know what I mean? I mean, real talk, me as the way I look, my life is in danger often. And that's a reality. So to hear young people who are not only looking like me, but look like everybody else on the screen saying the things that I felt, that to me is huge progress.